Hello YouTubers, this is Cessna Ace back again with another video. I have here a number of pickups in the DVD and Blu-ray formats. I know I still don't have a Blu-ray player, but I anticipate getting one soon because the prices on them have been coming down to the point where it really makes sense to get one. And plus, Walmart has been selling them at ridiculously low prices. The Blu-rays themselves, I mean, so I've been stockpiling on Blu-ray releases in anticipation of getting a Blu-ray player. I'm not going to be able to show all of these in one video. I have way too many pickups in the DVD and Blu-ray formats to show them all in one video unless you want to sit through a 2-hour video, and I don't think you would want to sit through 2 hours of me babbling on. I want to get these out of the way so that I don't get confused between what I already have that I haven't shown and what I add that I obviously would not have shown. I don't want the same problem happening that has happened with Laserdisc, which is I have now over 400 ads that I haven't yet shown. But I'm in a quandary because there are so many that I haven't shown yet. I can't keep straight in my head which ones I've shown, which ones I haven't. In any event, before I get started on this, a little bit of business. For those of you in the retro gaming community, you are well aware of X-File 2708 and the awesome channel that he had videos on. Well, he took all of his videos down and he moved to a different site, but he kept the channel active even though it didn't have any videos on it. If you're one of the people who unsubscribed to X-File 2708 because he had no videos, go back to his site because he's doing new videos on YouTube again. And Marcus is a really cool guy. He was featured in an issue of Retro Gamer magazine, which is one of the best gaming magazines out there. So anyway, Marcus, really nice guy. X-File 2708 is the name of his channel. If you want to subscribe to his channel, please do so. And if you don't know, well, consider it. Okay, I'm going to start with a film that I imported from Sweden. It's a Swedish release of a Swedish film. Hey, that makes sense. It's a documentary, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's called Shoutout. It basically means Land of Dreams. An award-winning film. Can't read the pull quotes because they're in Swedish. Language. Focus is Svenska, that'd be Swedish. Text, that'd be subtitles in Swedish and English. It's a documentary. Runs 184 minutes. For those of you out there like me who are mathematically challenged, that comes to 3 hours and 4 minutes. Now, in this film, there are bits with former Swedish Prime Minister Olof Palme, who was assassinated while he was in office in 1986. This documentary came out in 1988. I don't know if it was delayed because, or the release was delayed because of political considerations, or if it was delayed because of its extremely long running time and all the footage had to be assembled and so forth. 184 minutes. I did a search for this on Amazon. Well, not this film particularly, but of Olof Palme, because earlier this year, ABBA composer Benny Andersson, he composed most of the music, while Bjorn wrote the lyrics. Anyway, he won the Swedish equivalent of the Academy Award for Best Original Score for a film about Olof Palme. But apparently it's not out on DVD yet. When I entered in Olof Palme as a search parameter at Amazon, this came up, and I went ahead and ordered it. Very interesting behind-the-scenes look of Sweden. No, not a travel log. How the Swedish people live, their mindset, the tendency of the Swedish government to bounce back and forth between socialism and capitalism, or a combination thereof. I found it to be a very interesting film, although, like I said, very long. Now, this next film is a film starring Jackie Chan, which a lot of people hate with a passion. And when this film was released theatrically in the U.S., it didn't even make back its, well, I would imagine it didn't even make back its catering bill. That's how little money it made in the U.S. It stars Jackie Chan, as I mentioned, and it was released in 2011. The film is called 1911. It's released on the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Revolution. Okay, it's not going to focus. Focus! That trick didn't work. A patriotic epic. Well, it's patriotic if you're Chinese. Otherwise, far from it. A lot of extras. In fact, the extras run longer than the film. The film runs 90 minutes and the extras run 117 minutes. Language options are English and Mandarin. Subtitle options are English or Chinese. I kind of like the film though, and if you're one of the people who have seen the film and don't like it, I did a little bit of research and found that the film that he started working on immediately after 1911, The Karate Kid 2. My wife and I really like the original Karate Kid that he did, which was obviously a remake of the original Karate Kid series. It'd be interesting to see if the same thing happens with this series as with the original series, which with each subsequent film, they got worse and worse and worse. So hopefully that won't happen with these Hong Kong remakes. Okay, next up I have a film that director John Landis has referred to in his review at the YouTube channel and website Trailers from Hell, where they have famous directors and producers and screenwriters and so forth do reviews of movies. And the footage they use are taken from the theatrical trailers. Although they offer the option, you can watch the theatrical trailers without the commentary if you wish. But in John Landis' review of this horror film, he is continually referring to it as a stupid movie. Sometimes he would alternate and say a really dumb movie. Stupid, dumb, whatever he says, he likes watching it. Now, it's in a subgenre, vehicles demonically possessed. You have Maximum Overdrive, you have Duel, you have Christine, and I believe it was a Brazilian film, which I have a copy of on DVD, called The Black Volkswagen. Demonically possessed. So it's in that genre. It's kind of like, The Black Volkswagen is kind of like the anti-Herbie. Going around and seducing a pretty woman and causing havoc everywhere. And like this film, that car had heavy tinting, so you couldn't see a thing inside. Not like in the Herbie movies where the glass was all really clear, so it was easy to see inside, but you couldn't see how they were getting the car to drive itself. Well, in any event, this had a big budget. The cinematographer, really good cinematographer. The cinematography in this film is excellent. So it's a good looking film, and I'm not going to say that it's stupid. I'm just going to say I really like it. It's called The Car. What evil drives The Car. Now, unlike the other films that I mentioned in this subgenre, this is the only one that can make the claim that one of the technical advisors on the film was the Church of Satan. There is a really cool bit where they drive out the demon from the car, and that special effect is really cool looking. As I said, this was an expensive movie. It had a big budget. This release is from Anchor Bay, under license from Universal Studios, and the only extras are talent bios and the original theatrical trailer. It's in its original aspect ratio of 2.35 to 1. Next up, I have The Car. The Car. What Evil Drives? Should be on top of the title. Anyway, this release is from Universal Studios directly. Now, the reason I bought both, and I bought both at the same time, is because while one had a better cover, one had a feature the other didn't. Mainly the theatrical trailer. So I'll let you use logic to figure out which one I bought to have the cover. Which cover do you prefer of The Car? Okay, this is Final Destination 5. I already have Final Destinations 1, 2, 3, and 4. Been seeing this on satellite a lot lately. I haven't watched it on satellite, but I've seen it cropping up. And while I've been seeing it crop up a lot, I haven't taken note of which channel is running it. The Exorcism of Emily Rose. This is still factory sealed. It just has some kind of whatever on it that I was trying to get off. Got this at Big Lots for $3. This is in the original aspect ratio. It's letterboxed and, well, widescreen. And is the original theatrical version. It runs 119 minutes. Okay, next up I have The Exorcism of Emily Rose. This is the widescreen and is the uncut, unrated version, which runs 122 minutes, so it's 3 minutes longer than the theatrical cut. Based on a true story. Focus. That didn't work again. While the fronts are different, the rear of the cases are very similar. Some minor changes, but very similar. I prefer this cover, but I wanted the unrated version. So there's that. This is part of a trilogy starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. The first in the trilogy was Shaun of the Dead. The second was Hot Fuzz. Both of those I own on DVD. My brother Paul recommended this film. Paul. Hilarious bit with Sigourney Weaver. I'm not going to give it away. If you like Galaxy Quest, chances are you'll like this film. If you like Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz, you'll like this film. There are two versions of this film on this DVD. The theatrical version, which contains language problems, sexual references, and some drug use. And then it has the unrated version. The unrated version contains material different from the original R-rated version, And a bit redundantly, they put not rated above that box and unrated below that box. So it's not rated and it's unrated. Bit redundant, don't you think? Or repetitive or whatever. This is a really good film. When it came out in 1960, it's a British horror film. Came out in 1960. When it came out, it created such a stir. It was yanked from British cinemas after playing for only a week. It pretty much ruined the career of director Michael Powell in England, although I believe he moved to Australia. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me. To continue making films. But the critics who reviewed this film weren't just brutal on the film. They were brutal against Michael Powell. I mean, they were vicious, attacking him on a personal level. And he was getting death threats. And you know who championed this film to make it the cult classic that it is and revered by film buffs? American director Martin Scorsese, who, after he saw, he searched and found a print. I don't know if it was 16 millimeter, but probably 35 millimeter print of the film, and he would take it whenever he was invited to a film festival, and he would show it. And so it built up quite a following. Now, I saw this film for the first time on Turner Classic Movies, and as I watched it, I thought, this film is so amazing. And then when they got to the part afterwards where the host was talking about the film and how it was received critically, it's like, what was wrong with these people? Anyway, the film is called Peeping Tom. A ton of extras, including a making-of documentary and a feature-length commentary track, which, unlike the film, will put you to sleep. Audio essay by renowned film theorist Laura Mulvey. The problem with her essay is that she drones on and on and on, and her inflection and her voice never changes no matter what she's talking about. She's always talking like this, and after a while it put me to sleep. But the film itself is really good, and since I got the DVD, I have watched it several times. So, highly recommend this film. This release is part of the Criterion Collection. It was also released as part of the Criterion Collection on Laserdisc. I just don't happen to have that release. This is a really good horror film also. And it's the kind of horror film I prefer. That is atmosphere over gore. Atmosphere will trump fake gore every time, as far as I'm concerned. Although there are some very disturbing sequences in this film. It stars Daniel Radcliffe of the Harry Potter films, The Woman in Black. And the pull quote from the Daily Mirror, don't watch it alone. Focus. Focus. You hear Hermione now. Stop, 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 stop. You're saying it wrong. Focus. I had it for half a second there. Hermione, your spell only worked for half a second. A lot of extras. Oh, co-produced by CBS Films, CBS Entertainment, the newly reconstituted Hammer Films, and Sony, an alliance. A lot of companies involved in making that film. This is a sequel to a theatrical film that Rankin and Bass produced in the 60s. It utilized stop motion animation. This uses traditional hand-drawn animation that was made for television. Mad Monsters. Strangely, most of the people who were killed in Mad Monster Party, or is it Mad Monster Party? Anyway, Most of the people who were killed at the end of that film are alive in this one. Okay. This series has significance for me. And, well, first of all, this is Emergency Season 1, the complete box set. The reason it has significance for me is because I have an uncle who's a retired fire chief. I have another uncle who's a retired paramedic. And I have a deceased uncle who was also a paramedic. This includes the original 2-hour pilot movie, which shows how the paramedic program got started. This is one of a trilogy of series from Jack Webb. He did Dragnet and then Adam 12, but Adam 12 overlapped Dragnet for a bit. And for a while, Adam 12 overlapped Emergency. Can't make it out with my dodgy camera, but you have the stars of Adam 12 there, Kent McCord and Martin Milner talking to Dixie McCall. They were in the pilot also, which was directed by Jack Webb. Now, when this was syndicated, back then there was a practice that when a television series was on network television and they were still producing new episodes and they were syndicating reruns, they would change the name of the series for the syndicated reruns until the show was no longer being produced, and then they would start syndicating it under its original title. The original syndicated title for this series was Emergency 1, O-N-E. This series Emergency Season 2. This series had a number of backdoor pilots. What a backdoor pilot is basically is you take an episode of an existing series and you use it to double as a pilot for a proposed series. There have been a lot of them over the years, but I think this series takes the cake as having the most backdoor pilots. One such backdoor pilot had them, Johnny and Roy, traveling to Seattle to see how the paramedic program worked there. And they were introduced, and we were introduced to the whole cast of characters that were to be in that series had it sold, but it didn't. There was a similar episode where they did the same thing, except they went to San Francisco. So we could have had Emergency Los Angeles, Emergency Seattle, Emergency San Francisco, if all of them had sold. This is the only series that came anywhere near the ratings of All in the Family. It played opposite All in the Family. It came in second. But no other series, not on NBC or ABC, that they tried came anywhere close to getting anywhere near All in the Family. Emergency got the closest. Emergency Season 3. Trivia. That truck was donated to Universal Studios by the maker of the truck, the company that made those trucks. After Emergency was canceled, Universal Studios donated the truck as well as Squad 51 to the Los Angeles Fire Department, which is pretty cool. Okay, while they have been releasing the entire run of Adam 12 on DVD, and the same for Emergency, the same can't be said for this series, and the only reason I could come up with is that it's not commonly shown. Adam 12 is commonly shown. My TV is currently running it. Before that, it was Retro TV that was showing it. My TV runs Emergency every weekday, and now they're running Adam 12. But I have never seen anyone rerunning this in at least the last 10 or 15 years. But it was a big hit when it was on network television. In fact, it was on NBC, the same network that ran Emergency. Chips. This is the complete Season 1 box set. This came out about 11 years ago. Interestingly, Larry Wilcox and Eric Estrada did most of their own stunts. They did ride quite a bit, although they did occasionally use a trick where they pulled behind the camera truck or camera vehicle a trailer that had the motorcycle setting way down low, so it looked like they were just barely off the road. Right. To make it look like they were on the road, they were barely off the road. And they used that when they needed to talk back and forth, and I don't know that that would work. I don't think you could make yourself hurt over two motorcycles that are riding side by side. But in sequences where they are not side by side, they are frequently doing their own riding. Difference being Larry Wilcox, who played John Baker, knew how to do the stunts without getting seriously hurt. He never was. Eric Estrada didn't, and he frequently was. Larry Wilcox and Eric Estrada, by the way, never got along. Which explains why, late in the series run, Larry Wilcox finally said, "I'm out of here." This is the complete Series 2, which was released about 10 years ago. Now, something I noticed watching this is that they lifted a lot of footage from Emergency. Whenever they had to have a lot of fire trucks respond to a fire, they would cut to shots of Squad 51 and Truck 51 responding. In fact, there was a scene, a rather cool shot, I should say, that was lifted right out of Emergency. It was cut and spliced. In the Emergency episode, it's a series of about 5 Forest Service helicopters, and Dr. Brackett's in one of them, and they're going to different Forestry Service base stations, and let's see, one takeoff and another and another and another and another. Well, they lifted that for an episode of Emergency. Chips. Which doesn't make sense because Emergency was produced by Universal Studios and Chips by MGM. But they did, like I said, run on the same network. Now, there are two possible explanations why this is the last box set they released. There is a phenomenon that is quite frequent and with box sets, and that is with each subsequent box set, the sales are lower and lower. The sales for Season 2 will be lower than those for Season 1, and the box set for Season 3 will be lower than those for Season 2, and on and on and on. Well, the number crunchers figured, well, they couldn't make Season 3 work as a release because, in addition to that, the opening episode of Season 3 was a made-for-TV movie that had a huge guest cast of major celebrities, and it featured a lot of popular music of the time. So for rights reasons, it would be too expensive for them to release Season 3, and I don't imagine they would release Season 4 without releasing Season 3. So that is what put an end to that. By the way, when this was shown in syndication while it was still a network show. And this used to always bother me, and I could never get people to understand why it bothered me. CHIPS, obviously, is short for California Highway Patrol, plural. The syndicated reruns, the title for the series, while the new episodes were still running on network television, was CHIPS Patrol. So if you say it out, California Highway Patrol Patrol. And like I said, I could never get people to understand why that bothered me. Okay, but there is more CHIPS action. In 1999, they attempted to restart the series. Ted Turner did. This was produced by MGM and Rosner for TNT. This was released by Warner Archive. It's part of the Warner Archive collection. Maybe they could release the season opener for season 3 through Warner Archive, and then the rest of the series as a box set. But I do like this movie. Okay, real quickly, some Blu-ray ads. 48 Hours. Saw that one in a theater. From the director of Independence Day and The Day After Tomorrow, 10,000 BC. This includes as a bonus an alternate ending. Now, I saw someone do a video on this or they commented to somebody else's video, that the Blu-ray release of this title in the UK didn't have the correct aspect ratio. So it was both pan and scan and letterbox, because it was letterbox, but it kept panning from side to side because they weren't using the correct aspect ratio. But if the information on the back of this case is correct, then this uses the correct aspect ratio. This is the US release of this film, Alien. A lot of extras. Focus. Focus. Hocus pocus, focus. It seems to be as close as I can get in it being focus. And a movie that my wife and I both really like. We have it on just about every format we have. We Are the Three Amigos. Whatever. Really like this movie. It's a goofy movie, and in places it's a stupid movie, but I like it anyway. 25th anniversary edition includes 20 minutes of never-before-seen footage. Digitally remastered, first time on Blu-ray. Three Amigos. Until next time, stay awesome. Hello YouTubers, this is Cessna Ace back again with another video. I have here a number of pickups in the DVD and Blu-ray formats. I know I still don't have a Blu-ray player, but I anticipate getting one soon because the prices on them have been coming down to the point where it really makes sense to get one. And plus, Walmart has been selling them at ridiculously low prices. The Blu-rays themselves, so I've been stockpiling on Blu-ray releases in anticipation of getting a Blu-ray player. I'm not going to be able to show all of these in one video. I have way too many pickups in the DVD and Blu-ray formats to show them all in one video, unless you want to sit through a 2-hour video, and I don't think you would want to sit through 2 hours of me babbling on. I want to get these out of the way so that I don't get confused between what I already have that I haven't shown, and what you're one of the people who unsubscribed to X-File 2708 because he had no videos. Go back to his site because he's doing new videos on YouTube again. And Marcus is a really cool guy. He was featured in an issue of Retro Gamer magazine, which is one of the best gaming magazines out there. So anyway, Marcus, really nice guy. Xfile2708 is the name of his channel. If you want to subscribe to his channel, please do so. And if you don't know, well, consider it. Okay, I'm going to start with a film that I imported from Sweden. It's a Swedish release of a Swedish film. Hey, that makes sense. It's a documentary, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's called Shoutout. Basically means Land of Dreams. An award-winning film. Can't read the pull quotes because they're in Swedish. Language. Focus is Svenska, that'd be Swedish. Text, that'd be subtitles in Swedish and English. It's a documentary. Runs 184 minutes. For those of you out there like me who are mathematically challenged, that comes to 3 hours and 4 minutes. Now, in this film, there are ads that I obviously would not have shown. I don't want the same problem happening that has happened with Laserdisc, which is I have now over 400 ads that I haven't yet shown. But I'm in a quandary because there are so many that I haven't shown yet. I can't keep straight in my head which ones I've shown, which ones I haven't. In any event, before I get started on this, a little bit of business. For those of you in the retro gaming community, you are well aware of Xfile2708 and the awesome channel that he had videos on. Well, he took all of his videos down and he moved to a different site, but he kept the channel active even though it didn't have any videos on it. There are bits with former Swedish Prime Minister Olof Palme, who was assassinated while he was in office in 1986. This documentary came out in 1988. I don't know if it was delayed because, or the release was delayed because of political considerations, or if it was delayed because of its extremely long running time and all the footage had to be assembled and so forth. 184 minutes. I did a search for this on Amazon. Well, not this film particularly, but of Olof Palme, because earlier this year, ABBA composer Benny Andersson, he wrote most